course, getting kicked off as well. So obviously a lot of excitement there for MLS fans.
I'll be sleeping by then.
Yes, of course, we'll have a big recap of that and all the other big stuff from tonight as well on tomorrow's show. But that's going to do it for us today, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And that Texas A&M's kind of become Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes.
Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? You know, maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on Sport.
Live on SportsGrid, it is Game Time Decisions. We are with you on this Wednesday. Kevin Walsh from the Decisions Desk with a very important game in the World Series. Game 5, we are tied at 2 apiece. We have played 4. We are even through those 4. Yet the run differential, although it doesn't really matter, tells us that the Toronto Blue Jays have been the better team. And there has to be a part of those who have backed the Blue Jays who wonder if this not being a 3-1 lead, if not being able to find a way in that 18-inning slugfest, is that going to be the difference in a series that has 3 games left and 2 of them are in Toronto? You look right now, though, and despite that fact, minus 190 on the Dodgers to win the series. Why? The Dodgers tonight are comfortably higher than that number as they are at home with a chance to take the 3-2 edge. The product of the 2-3-2 format makes life a little bit easier on the team who does not have home field advantage. You can not have home field advantage and grab a series lead, which is up for grabs tonight for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that's going to move numbers around quite a bit. Makes tonight very, very important. Because if Toronto gets this win tonight, even though they will likely be booked as an underdog in Game 6 and a potential Game 7, they will become series favorites for the first time throughout this World Series. Well, the ball is given to Trey Savage as he is matched up tonight with Blake Snell, your starters from the opening game of this World Series. For Trey Savage, it was solid. Didn't set the world on fire. 4 innings of work, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, 3 walks, no decision. He gave the Blue Jays a chance to be competitive. I am wondering, though, could we see a much bigger night from Savage? Only going the 4 innings. His outs prop is 12.5. Will he go more than that? So far, it's kind of been an every other situation for Savage. I think that's on the board. On the other side of the mound, though, Blake Snell, who for the first time all postseason hit pretty hard. 5 earned runs for Blake Snell, matching his most in any game all season, in fact. Snell in the prior 21 innings of work had only allowed 2 earned runs. Can Blake Snell bounce back? The way I usually look at these things, yes, he can. But I think Savage could have himself a good game as well. So let's just put it on the board. Why not? We got plenty to get to, but I'm excited. My best bet tonight comes in the World Series. Under 8.5. Minus 120, and I'll pull it up right now to get an idea where we sit elsewhere in the market. But I think that with a total pretty much a run higher than we saw it in game number 1 with the same starters, and I think maybe not as friendly hitting conditions as playing inside a dome in Toronto, I think the under is the play. I think Snell could be brilliant. I think Savage is going to be better than expected. And I believe the under 8.5 is how you play game number 5 of this World Series. Let's get the rest of the best bets out there. We might as well. Chris is involved in the World Series as well. He goes back to old reliable, the Blue Jays' first 5 team total over 1.5 at a slight plus price. Yarnell, as per, into the college football slate with a Middle Tennessee, Jacksonville State over that he's going to put on the board. That first half number checks in at 27 and a hook. And then AJ into the NBA with the Magic on the money line against the Detroit Pistons. We shift into the NBA card tonight where there are a number of interesting spots, a pretty loaded board. One number that really stood out to me is the Anthony Edwards-less Minnesota Timberwolves still laying a huge number against the LA Lakers. Both teams sitting at 2-2, but the Lakers without, of course, LeBron and still Luka Doncic find themselves a considerable underdog in that one. I think eyes tonight also should be kept on the Celtics and the Cavs as Donovan Mitchell is trending towards missing that basketball game in Boston. The C's look for their first home win of the season, as well as the questions around Zion's availability, ever present, exist for tonight's matchup in Denver against the Nuggets. I'm a little tempted by the Pels tonight. Can't make any moves, though, until we get word that Zion Williamson will actually play in that basketball game. If you are looking to bet tonight outside of the World Series, the NBA, maybe the NHL, who I am sorry, but what an awful little operation. I just frozen frenzy yesterday, so then today you get one game. I don't know. It just feels all a bit like a mess. But you have the Blue Jackets and the Maple Leafs, and you do have the college football board, which tonight features 2 games, Middle Tennessee and Jacksonville State, and then Missouri State and FIU, so a little Conference USA. Speaking of college football, hand up accountability pie, 100% this way. Kevin 7 yesterday was done, signed, sealed, and delivered, teased, yet never actually discussed about the potential jobs that could come open. We will make sure we get that done for you today. That's on me. And to make it up for you, we're trending towards a bonus Kevin 7 on Friday as the NBA Cup will get underway. Speaking, though, of course, of a segment you can rely on with the Kevin 7, today does return, of course, Target Player Props. Each and every Wednesday, we take a look towards the upcoming Sunday slate of NFL action and try and figure out where there could be some value. And I will tell you this, 2 very high-profile wide receivers find themselves focused in on for Target Player Props. And I think what is going to be a fascinating situation. We will break those down with the help of Tom Vecchio, as we always do on these Wednesdays. Also going to get some insight from Tom on how he looks to play game number 5 of the World Series. I believe Tom's best bet in the World Series was over 5.5 games, which is already then a winner. We're going at least 6 in this World Series. We will also be talking to Cam Stewart, who covers the whole board, but of course will be keyed in on Toronto, LA. His counterpart, Gabe, is at the game. I know Cam is going to make sure that he is settled in to watch the Blue Jays try and take a World Series lead tonight, but he's gracious enough to give us a little bit of time to talk to him before that one tonight and get his thoughts on that matchup. And we've also got Jared Hockman, friend of the show, stopping by in 3 or 4 minutes' time to get his card for tonight. I think we very well could be actually head-to-head, Jared and I, as far as tonight's World Series Game 5 action. That is fine by me. Listen, may the best man win. Really, actually, we don't decide any of it. One quick other point on the World Series before we hit this opening break. I know I could sound like a bit of a broken record to people here, but the MVP market continues to be so interesting. I am surprised Ohtani is still such a strong favorite. The favorite, of course. He's been the most valuable player in the series. His hitting performance in Game 4, although it ended up just being a walk fest down the stretch, is, the stuff of legend. I know. But Ohtani as a pitcher didn't deliver. And that should open the door for some others. We'll get into that, though, throughout our show tonight. Jared Hockman joins us next.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right, but there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, it is game time decisions, and to help us make a couple, it's our guy Jared Hockman. You can find his work over at covers.com. Jared, always good to talk to you. Getting set for a World Series tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're down to a best of 3 kind of thing, and I didn't give the Jays a big chance going into this series. I think we kind of underplayed just how sticky and grindy this lineup is. And we might have kind of overplayed the Dodgers offense because it's really been pretty bad other than Shohei with some heroics. So, here we are with the Jays back against Snell and this big game here that's going to set the tone for the next one's coming back to Toronto.
Can I ask you about that, though, quickly, Jared? Because it's something I struggle with. It's not practical to ask them to implement a 2-2, 1-1-1-1 series in baseball the way it's played. I do hate, though, that the Blue Jays have presently, protected home field advantage, and yet tonight are set up to lose and then have to go and win 2 in a row in their building. There isn't really a fix, but it doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I think it's also we're so used to the other sports that do the 2-2, 1-1-1. I almost kind of forget that baseball's been 2-3-2 basically for until the beginning of time. But you're right. I mean, it's tough when you're the home team. You really get punished if you don't win both games at home because it's you might not come back. Whereas, when you end the other series there, you do get a chance to bring it back into your home field. I mean, yeah, they'd be looking at just kind of like they did in the ALCS where they might need to go back home and win 2 straight to survive.
Which I think that is the thing they probably do feel comfortable about because they have done it already. The fascinating bit of it all is Yamamoto awaits in Game 6. I mean, the guy's just we're in an era where no one throws complete games. He's like, how about 2 of them in the playoffs? Anybody interested in that? It's absolutely incredible. Let's talk about tonight, though, Jared. Are you on a side or total for this matchup?
Yes, Kevin, I'm on a total. I saw before I came on, you were hinting that we might be against each other here. So I'll lay my cards first. I'm going with the over 8. And listen, we've hit at least 8 runs in 3 of the 4 games in this series. And I get it. I know Blake Snell won't be as bad as game 1, and nor will you Savage. But you look at this Jays lineup, they just don't strike out, and they make you work for everything. And if you look at Snell, if he's not racking up Ks, his BABIP was I think, the 3rd highest of his career this year. He can give up some hard contact. Jays put the bat in the ball. I think they're going to make some things happen. And then the most important thing for Toronto is as they keep working those pitch counts with 7, 8 pitch at bats, you get Snell out in like the 5th inning. You get into that Dodgers bullpen that is extremely bad and extremely overworked, and they've seen him a ton. I think the Jays could really put up a pretty decent number here. Now the question is, can the Dodgers do enough to get over this as well? Savage, this is his first start, not in the friendly confines of the Rogers Center. This is his first road playoff game, so we don't know how he's going to respond to that. And I know the Blue Jays bullpen is a little rested, but there's still a bit of a question mark there. So if we get into a bullpen game here, I think you can see both teams put up a couple runs and get over here, get over the 8.
So credit to you for laying out your cards first, and also credit to you for a Savage point that I didn't love. I mean, I loved it, but I'm on the under, so I don't love. He's not pitched outside of Toronto in 6 weeks, so that's different. Again, I love it, but I don't. You know exactly what I'm saying. I think for me, and where I will lose confidence, let's say the first 5 goes well under, 2-1, but both starters are out before the 6th. I'm not going to feel great about that. I've just seen Snell get rocked rarely and bounce back when it's happened. And that is kind of what I imagine this looks like tonight for Snell. But I think it's on the board for Savage to pitch at least deeper than the books think, right? And again, maybe I could just play both guys over their outs recorded, but I felt a little bit more comfortable tonight on this total. Worst case scenario, lands 8. Pushing a win. I'm just saying, let's not be too greedy.
We could also maybe potentially try and have like a little middle here, a first 5 under, maybe full game over. You want to try the old kind of treasure path one there too, because that could very much happen. But again, I know all my picks I put up there too. My next one too is Snell. Again, I think the problem is he said he doesn't get rocked twice in a row. He might not get rocked tonight. I don't think he will. I think he's too good of a pitcher in the playoffs. But I do like the under on his strikeouts at 6.5. He had 4 in game 1. And again, the Blue Jays, they don't strike out. They foul pitches off. They grind. They just don't let you go that deep into the game, with the exception of Yamamoto, who's just not human right now.
Yeah.
And you look at it, it's I think he's gone under this number twice in his 4 postseason starts already. Jays, we've seen him again. Jays also really crush lefties. They're really good. I know there's no Springer. They still get a really good lineup for it. I just don't see Snell really dominating. I mean, Glasnow didn't put up big K totals. Neither did Ohtani. Other than Yamamoto, no one else has really shut this team down. So I think you're going to see him go under there. And my last one, I love this guy. Ernie Clement is like a true hero of the postseason. He sounds like a dude. He's a hockey player. His batting stance is like MLB The Show generic number 2 that you choose from. But he's hitting almost 400 in the playoffs. He's cashed the over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs in 11 of his 15 postseason games. He had 2 hits and RBI in Game 1 against Snell, 2 hits and a run scored yesterday. He hits almost 70 points higher against lefties than righties. And then you look at this lineup, he's right in the middle of it. He's going to get a chance to bat with some runners on. He's got, I think, Barger behind him. So if he gets on, he could get knocked in too. So, a hit or two, score a runner on, I think, Ernie. And it's at plus money. So we're in on Ernie Clement here.
Well, that's the thing about this Toronto group is despite the back of the lineup not being as marquee as LA's, these guys routinely feel like are attempting to set that table for when it gets back around to a Vladdy or something like that. As we're through 4, Jared, and again, we appreciate it as always. I'll get you out of here after this. How much of a chance do you give the Blue Jays if they drop this game tonight?
It doesn't make it 7. I think they need to win this to go 7. I do not feel confident against Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah.
The velocity, the movement, and his location, he's just locked in. And when you have a guy with that many pitches that's hitting his spots and mixing speeds, you're not going to touch him. I think they do need to win this game tonight to extend it to 7, in which case, you'll have Scherzer against Glasnow, and you'll take your chances with the bullpen. But if they lose this one tonight, it will be a very tall task heading back to Toronto for Halloween.
Which is why we're about to talk a lot more about the Yamamoto World Series MVP number, because it's starting to feel like that is screaming certainly at me. Jared, appreciate it as always. Best of luck with that action. I'll root in 8 runs, but no more than that. Be back here on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back right here on a Wednesday, we're with you. It is Game Time Decisions. We do have an NBA game live right now, believe it or not. It's in Toronto, so I feel as if the Raptors are trying to clear out as much as they can because they know people want to watch the Blue Jays tonight, which you have to respect. They closed as 5.5-point home dogs to the Houston Rockets, with the Rockets up early. 7 o'clock, you've got two games on this board tonight. It's Boston, Cleveland, and it is Detroit, Orlando. We already talked, AJ's best bet is on the Magic. I like that look as well. I'm struggling a little bit, though, as someone who gave Detroit a shout against Cleveland the other night. Bad look. Cavs routed them. Maybe I don't have a great read there early, which I'm fine with, right? It's a long NBA season, and I think to some degree that's why I'm not anxious or running to bet Cleveland against Boston here. The Cavs are laying 3.5. Again, it's trending to Donovan Mitchell missing this game. At least at last look, he was set as questionable. Let me see, though. I guess at 6:55, we should know whether or not Mitchell's in. Oh, Mitchell's in. Hate that. Stay away game supreme. I'm sorry. Got downgraded to questionable with a hamstring. Is he playing the whole game? I want nothing to do with this game. I'm sorry. I don't. There are two sides in the NBA tonight that I am very tempted by. I have not played either yet, though. And I don't know what... Well, I know the hesitation is in one. The one I am interested in is Sacramento getting 5.5 against the Bulls. Now, this number has dropped to 4.5 in some spots, flat 5, but there's at least 5.5 still in the market. The Kings are having a tough run out to the year. However, if it depends if they can pull themselves together. So what do I mean by this? Okay? Opening night, they're up 20 on the Suns on the road. They blow the game. They handle business. They beat Utah by a point. Okay, fine. They lose to a Luka-less Lakers and LeBron-less Lakers because Reeves scores 51. It's a bad look. They then go and step up against the Thunder and lead for a lot of that game. They lose the fourth quarter by 9. They lose the game by 6. And now they're sat there 1-3. Their stars are not meshing together at all. But the temptation is they've had moments where it's been clicking. And I like that Levine and DeMar are both headed back to a Bulls team who are currently 3-0, and they're not a 4-0 good type of ball club. So there's some interest in fading them. For me, I'll probably still get there. I'm interested in New Orleans tonight. Zion Williamson's first two games give us 27 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 6 assists. But the glaring number for Zion, who has yet to attempt a 3, is shooting 46% from the field. And on top of that, the 64% from the line doesn't feel great. Zion is incredibly capable of being a 70% free throw shooter. But again, it's being 10 points, 12 points below his career field goal percentage right now without any threes dragging the number down. That tells me Zion against the Nuggets tonight, if he's playing, that should be 35. No problem. So Zion props are also tempting, once we can confirm he's in. Those 23.5s are light. They look real light. Because, again, he's getting through these numbers in each of the first two without shooting it well. But, again, it's Zion, so, if he's playing, is he fully healthy? What is the deal? And that's kind of what we deal with Zion Williamson. They're a 12.5-point favorite. That game isn't until 9 o'clock. We may not get enough of an answer when the time comes, but that's kind of what I've been thinking through with the association. Just some other spots out there tonight. We mentioned the Wolves are 7.5-point favorites against the Lakers. I slightly actually lean Minnesota on the big number, as it feels like the Lakers are going to more and more feel the absence of their two best players in this one. We saw that at home against Portland. We might see it again here on the road against Minnesota. Atlanta laying a really big number at Brooklyn, but it's because they are healthy tonight. Jalen Johnson, Reece Shea, Kristaps, all in the lineup. The Hawks have been a little too unhealthy for me to know if I am right to fade the fully healthy version of that group. Dallas lays 6.5 at home against the Indiana Pacers, and the Jazz are a home dog against Portland at 3.5 right now. Utah, though, could continue to be play on until the injuries and tanking inevitably rears its head. They have started the season 3-0 so far against the spread, and then the late night matchup is Phoenix and Memphis in the desert. Cam Stewart joins us next.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions, and we are very, very lucky because on the night of Game 5 of the World Series, Cam Stewart joins the show. Cam, I always appreciate you making time, but on a night like this, I know it's a lot. So tell me, Cam, how do we feel evened up through 2 or through 4?
If you were to come up to somebody who bet the Blue Jays at the start of the series plus 195 and says, hey, we're tied with the Dodgers going into Game 5, they'd take it. This team is special. They grind. And to do what they did after one of the worst losses in franchise history, losing in 18, running through their whole team. Kevin talked to me at the break in the green room. He's like, who the hell are these guys? I don't know who they are. I'm like, they're the Buffalo Bisons, Kev. Bisons versus Dodgers. Yeah, that's the whole thing. John Schneider kind of assumed the game wouldn't go that long. We ran out of arms, but to come back and get runs off Ohtani and for Shane Bieber to pitch like that, that's fantastic stuff. Very proud of it. Hey, whatever happens, Kev, it's one of these teams, win or lose, I'm happy because they try, they overachieve, they do everything that I love in guys who play sports. There's no dog in it on this team. For props tonight, first of all, I'm taking the Jays plus 1.5, and I'll sprinkle on the money line. I know Trey Yasevich, and if his sinker's not working, we could have problems, but the Jays have seen Snell before, and even though he's amazing, they can get to him early. This total's right on the number, Kev. Like before, I actually hit live the over 7 and under 9 in the last game, and it was 8. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, I hit these both parlays. I was so happy. But if you're looking for props with players, Ernie Clement, it's juicy. It's minus 170 to get one damn base. This guy has been money in every single series. Kev, I never lay that kind of juice. Only in a golf matchup, like with a guy who's good versus another guy, but I don't care. It's one of those things that I'll live with the juice. I know it's not the way we usually roll with dogs. These guys for the Dodgers, Max Muncy, he has the perfect type of, attitude. They haven't seen Yasevich a lot, but one thing I know about Muncy, he can get a base. It's minus 120. And also, one guy with limited success against Blake Snell, Dalton Varsho, minus 120. So, and I also parlayed all those, Kev, and added Vladimir Guerrero RBI. I got a 16-1 parlay there. And both pitchers, they had a super boost on one of my books. I'm not sure if you guys can get it. I got Snell, 5+ strikeouts, Yasevich, 5+ strikeouts at over 2-1.
That's nice. I like that. I'm on the under tonight, Cam, at 8.5. I expect good stuff from both pitchers. Like, it's not just a Snell thing. I think Yasevich meets the moment. I haven't played it yet. The number's just so ridiculous. He was like plus 570 to record the win. Like, I know that's asking a lot, but he's won 2 of his starts. He's only had 4 in the postseason. Like, I think there is still some of this doubt in the numbers you see booked around the Toronto pitching staff, Cam.
Great call. Great call by you, Kevin. You saw what he did to the Yankees. And they got, you know what I mean? What was his first start? 10 strikeouts, franchise record. Like, this guy, he's special. The sinker's the key. He's got to keep it moving. He's got to keep the Dodgers hitters off base. Kevin, it was unbelievable. Guys, if you're doing betting live on this game, and your book will have it, take a look at Ohtani walks. Kevin, I was doing a stream for the Monday Night Football game with the Commanders and Kansas City. They had next a plate appearance, Ohtani, plus 450. I thought it was a mistake. I only had 50, hit it. And then it went down and down. I'm like, plus 450? They said they're going to walk this guy. They said they're going to walk this guy.
Yeah.
There's nobody on base. You put Ohtani on. Let's not screw around here. So that's what we're doing. Kevin, by the way, you know who doesn't care about the Blue Jays? The Columbus Blue Jackets. Everybody else, Raptor game has started. Already here. Houston's up 29-24 live. So you're thinking, hey, Leafs, they're playing hockey tonight. I look at the time, 7:40. Boo, boo. You guys won't be able to watch your baseball team. Screw you, Columbus. But hey, actually, Kevin, I like Columbus tonight against the Leafs. I'll tell you a story. The Leafs never win in this building. Had them last night against Calgary. Columbus beat the Sabres 4-3 at overtime. Let's roll with the Blue Jackets tonight. Gabe will tell you, this is one of our thing. The Toronto 3-step, it never comes in. It's a bad dance move. One move might work, maybe 2,
I love that.
but never 3. If you're busting out the cardboard and I'm going to give you the electric worm and do all that stuff, only 2 of my routines can work. I can't do all 3. Because I'll tell you, Toronto teams never all win on the same night. So I'm going to say the Leafs are the team to screw it up tonight.
I love that. I think it's very fair analysis. We were talking about that, Cam, on the night with the Equinox. And I was like, what's going to be the most chalk parlay that everyone puts together? But the NHL stuff was all so small. I don't know if it really factored in. But I do think there is something to being what's everyone going to bet? And then do we kind of need to, back off it a little bit? I think, Cam, too, but you mentioned it, and this is kind of the best, when you talk to someone like Cam, who is a very real bettor and is always kind of looking at the numbers and whatnot, is, the Ohtani walk stuff. What they did to start the last game is what I would have expected, where, hey, we're not going to throw him strikes, but we're not going to intentionally walk the first batter. But then they struck him out in 2 of his next 3 at-bats. Ohtani is very streaky. When he's hot, good luck. When he's not, I don't want to sound rude, but he's like an easy out. He just swings and misses at everything. Do you think they're going to be a little more willing to pitch to him to start the night because of how last game was?
Excellent point that you bring up, too. For that prop to win, a pitch must be thrown. There's no intentional walking. That's the little fine print to tell you guys. That's why you're getting over 4-1 with that stuff. He has to pitch to him. And one pitch has to none of the put up the 4 fingers. Yes, Kevin, I do agree with what you're saying. Ohtani, he can hit a couple out of the park. If he's not, he takes a lot of bad cuts. And that's the thing. Yasevich has to have movement on his pitches tonight. Keep him off base, because if he sees it, it's gone. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I know Gabe posted a picture. We have these commercials, Heritage Canada, where it's still frames of the best moments in Canadian history, sports, the Summit Series, life. And they have a still shot of Vlad Guerrero hitting that home run. which was absolutely beautiful, brought a tear to my eye. This guy will be on a postage stamp or money if the Jays win the series. And he keeps on playing like this, Kev. Honorary citizen. He's in.
Yeah, he is it's honestly awesome. Like, I know I'm a Yankee fan. I'm supposed to be upset. I'm not upset. Yeah. They paid him. He wanted to be paid by them. He didn't want to leave, and it's just immediately worked out in, just this wonderful, wonderful fashion. And we'll see if they're going to be able to cross the finish line. I will ask you this, Cam, because I think it's one of the most fascinating things. It's an unfortunate sticking point where it's a 2-3-2. So Toronto has home field right now at advantage, but they might trail in the series.
Yes.
Do you still feel confident with this group if they go back to Toronto but are down 3-2?
I do, because what have the Jays done all season long? And you've seen it, Kev, as a fan of the AL East. Yep. They get murdered or lose a heartbreaking game and come back and punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. They're not. It's what, like the old Jays team used to fold, and that's what I used to hate about them. These guys are different. They're like guys you go to war with. It's like, man, you're my buddy. Like, let's go. Like, their clubhouse dynamic, I've never seen a Blue Jay team where everyone gets along like this. They actually love each other. So, yes, I would be. Winning tonight would be great, though, Kev. As I go downtown to bake my girlfriend a smooth lasagna, I'm going to come down. I hope the thing weighs 20 pounds. Party, and then go out and watch people hanging outside of cars. If the Blue Jays win the World Series, buddy, I'm going to party like it was olden days. Keg party, Cam's house, 18 years old. Let's go. Use a coaster, please, as my buddy goes through my drywall.
I think I will say this as we'll let you get ready to party. As someone who was once told by Gabe, people think I'm crazy and then they meet Cam. I hope it happens for you, Cam. Please be careful. We love you. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight.
Hope
Cam Stewart.
Enjoy.
The best, the absolute best, my favorite. I'm glad we got him in. Let's root in those Blue Jays. We'll do some target player props next for you. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. Game time decisions, game number 5 of the World Series. We've talked a lot about it. The NBA card, we've set you up as best as we can. What about this coming Sunday in the National Football League? We've got ourselves some target player props. As always, we begin in the world of the running backs. And there is a number that I was a little tempted by this past Sunday. I ultimately didn't get involved with, and I would have lost close. But that, even if I had played it, would have been a sacrifice for what looks like one of the most tempting spots on the entire board to me, depending where they list this number. Kyle Monangai, rookie running back out of Rutgers on the Chicago Bears, over his rushing yards. Kyle Monangai was a tick under 30 for a prop last week against Baltimore. Runs 7 for 24, so he does not get there. But while those Ravens defensive numbers look bad, they are getting better. They are getting healthier. Monangai, though, is playing more, and that is important. That's always important. That is, I feel like, the foundation at times of what we do with these target player props. We are looking for guys that are going to be more involved than maybe the books expect, right? Outproduce those expectations. And Monangai has seen his snap percentage increase over the entire season and has now played 45% of the snaps in 2 straight games. And they go up against the Cincinnati Bengals. A defense, I believed in coming into the season. A sick part of me still thinks maybe it could have been different if Burrow didn't get injured. But he is. And the defense is a mess, especially against the run. No team is giving up more rushing yards all season long. Per game, it's over 150. But maybe more importantly, in 8 games played, they've allowed 5 different running back rooms to have to have 2 different players run for 30 or more. I don't see a world this Monangai number off of a 7 for 24 game is into the 30s. If I do, then maybe we have to pivot away. But I think anything under that creates a really big opportunity for us in this matchup with Cincinnati. The next one, another running back, one of my favorites we've been able to give you all season long. Credit to our guy, Chris, in the back. Jaylen Warren over his rushing prop. Jaylen Warren has held on to the Pittsburgh Steelers running back job in a way that felt almost impossible. They drafted Caleb Johnson somewhat high. Warren is not seen as a true number 1 back and spent time injured. And he just continues to get more and more of this backfield and produce for this team. He's now up to 4.5 yards per carry because his last 3 games, he's been excellent. Mixed in a 127-yard performance against, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals. But went over 50 against Cleveland and over 60 against Green Bay. So in come the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to be booked as favorites. And I think we'll have the books then shading a pass-heavy game script for Pittsburgh because they're going to be trailing. But it's a Colts rush defense that has it occasionally allowed some real performances. Even in a game like a blowout against the Raiders where Genti was able to get to 67. Not just closer games like we've seen with Denver and LA. But let's remember, this is not a 7-10-point number. It's around a field goal. I think there's some real juice behind these Jaylen Warren numbers that I think could be way lower than we have seen in recent weeks. His number was, again, 50, 55.5, give or take, over the last couple of weeks here. I think the number in the 40s is actually on the board for Jaylen Warren. Maybe I'm nuts. I think it's a real target. Here's another target, because it's a target every single week we talk about this, okay? Now, we've seen some of this get thrown off a little bit because Jaden Daniels didn't have any top wide receivers, though Ertz, the top option, scored off of the arm of Jaden Daniels. And Bo Nix was having too much fun throwing the ball to R.J. Harvey, so Sutton didn't get in there. But the Dallas Cowboys' pass defense continues to be the absolute worst thing in football. They are hopeless. And they now play on a Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals, where Marvin Harrison Jr. is absolutely in line to find the end zone multiple times. Passing touchdowns allowed this season, Dallas is at 20. 20. I mean, just the overall numbers are gaudy right now from this Dallas secondary. And Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't scored now in a little while. Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't necessarily the apple of Jacoby Brissett's eye. That was a little bit more Trey McBride, who found himself hitting the end zone, I think, multiple times in that game against Green Bay. But Trey McBride, somewhat famously, doesn't really score touchdowns. So I think this opens things up for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's a really strong target. Now, it's a touchdown number, right? So it's not an over or an under. And I think there are going to be some of you who are probably willing to bet this at any number. But I think you're going to get plus 145, maybe plus 150 on a number one wide receiver against Dallas. I think that's really, really tempting. Speaking of number one wide receivers, and I don't want to get into these just yet, but there were two spots that, you know, as we worked through these together, stood out as, I think, what could be sticking points for bettors this weekend who like to get involved with some of the superstars. Because you have two guys that are typically as trustworthy as it gets, entering into some pretty unique situations, I think. Not the same. They're not similar situations at all. Unique, though, for sure. I will add this quickly just before we hit the break. One other name that I think we should watch, we didn't necessarily set up here, is Rashee Rice. He has just put up huge numbers since coming back, and they now play an opponent that is supposed to actually give them a full four-quarter game in the Buffalo Bills. Curious to see where the Rice numbers are in that big game. We continue our target player props after the break on Game Time Decisions.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, you know, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, we are with you here on a Wednesday night on SportsGrid. We are going to get ready for game number 5 in the World Series tonight. We, of course, will have in-game coverage. That coverage, though, will not feature Gabe Morency as he is out on assignment, a.k.a. he will be at Dodgers Blue Jays. You will be covered, though, with Scott Wetzel and Brady Cannon on In-Game Live, so do not worry about that. Quick little bonus if you are going to get involved with the NBA tonight. I know they have the double-double boost over on DraftKings. I did a little Trae Young, Zion Williamson 1-2 combination for anybody that is interested in getting involved there. Speaking of getting involved, though, we've got 2 spots that a little tricky to get involved with. We start with Justin Jefferson. Now, it's very simple as to figuring out why this is tricky. J.J. McCarthy's back. And the splits for Jefferson with McCarthy versus Wentz are pretty big. 65 yards per game in the 2 games he played with J.J. McCarthy. 95.4 yards per game in the 5 games that he played with Carson Wentz. Now, I think this sets things up for the books, I think, to potentially drop the numbers on Jefferson a little bit. He did have an 81-yard game against Atlanta. It came, though, with a 50-yard catch. So, and not that Jefferson isn't capable of those, but it was only a 3-catch performance. Like, we are talking yards here for Justin Jefferson, I think. But the receptions stuff is all fascinating as well. He had 7 receptions in the 2 games with J.J. McCarthy. He had 34 receptions in the 5 with Wentz. That's a difference between 3.5 and 7, a.k.a. double. Double. Workload. Willingness to just throw the football, right? Is it going to be high enough for the Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy? They benched him via injury, but that's what happened. Let's not lie about it. Do they trust him, though, now? They had no choice. He had to play. Wentz is on season-ending IR and could have gone on season-ending IR, by the way, after the game against Philly. And they still ran him out there on a Thursday night to not put JJ out there. They were coming off of a bye before the Philly game and still didn't put JJ out there. That's what happened. So what do? Maybe we just bet Jefferson because he's that good, because he also somehow owns the Lions. 120 yards per game in 10 games against Detroit? That's outrageous. That is just otherworldly. And that's not, that's with the number of quarterbacks, right? He has 2 years ago, so 2023, he played them twice. 141 in a score, 192 in a score. My, oh, my. There's temptation, but is there trust? The other player, the questions deal with not a quarterback injury, but his own. That's Puka Nacua. The Rams, off a bye, play the Saints. What do you do with the books? Again, maybe I'm overcomplicating this. I don't think so. I'm curious to see what Tom has to think. But Puka Nacua was on a torrid pace to start the season. And then was injured against the Ravens. But if you look at those first 5 weeks, his low was 85, and that was under his number by 12.5 yards. Because that's where we got to with Puka Nacua. But now you're playing the Saints, who are starting Tyler Shuck and are going to enter this one as a 2-touchdown underdog. What do you do here? You don't really have much of a reason to run Puka Nacua like it's a normal one. Your projected game script is one that has you up by a lot and early. I don't know. Can you really make a Puka Nacua number anything south of 80? I don't feel like it. And again, if you look at what we've seen from number ones, against the Saints, it's not like they go crazy. I thought Emeka Egbuka was going to have a monster week. That was a target from last week. Did nothing. But Baker Mayfield played bad again, and he's kind of thrown himself out of the MVP race. Sorry to say it, but it's kind of true. That Puka one is fascinating to me. Can you put a Puka number in the 60s, though? No way. We got to talk to Tom Vecchio about this and a lot more after the break on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back on Game Time Decisions, I want to quickly reset the best bets as we do have one that is about to get underway. We do have one that is already in action with Orlando leading early on Detroit. Good for our guy, AJ. Yarnell's best bet is, of course, from the outrageous college football window. That is going to begin with Middle Tennessee and Jacksonville State. He's got a little first half over there, 27.5. We're doing a baseball double for myself and Chris. We're going to talk some baseball with Tom Vecchio. We will also be talking, of course, our target player props. We'll get to that, though, in a moment. Tom, it's great to have you here. You can catch Tom across the SportsGrid network. We are, if I am not mistaken, we are already playing a game that has no bearing on your best bet in this World Series winning, because in the minimum, your over 5.5 total games has come in.
It already has. I saw that this morning. It is cashed over 5.5. Is nice to see. I'm happy to see Toronto making a big push. Tonight's game is huge. You go home with, up 3-2 with home field advantage, 2 bites at the apple to come away with the win. That's where every team wants to be. So I think the series has been fantastic. We're seeing history. We're seeing long games. It's been great.
So tonight's game, Tom, booked with a total of 8.5 now, actually. In more places, I think, than not, though. Let me get the most up-to-date numbers here on this total, because I don't want to be misleading. Maybe more of an even split, I should say, on the total. Look, as far as the money line goes, it's going to be Dodgers. Around minus 200 now in this baseball game. Some spots a little bit higher than that. Are you interested or have at least maybe even a lean, Tom, on the side or total here?
I think the Dodgers are a fine side to back. A lot of people like to go with the zigzag in the playoffs, on one side one day, on the other. But that price is insane. I don't care that Snell's on the mound. Like, what have we seen? And maybe you want to bet the Dodgers first 5, but their bullpen is terrible. What are we doing with that price? It would be bet the Blue Jays or simply stay away. There's no reason to go to the Dodgers. In-game live coming up next. If you want to bet on them in-game and you get them at -125, yeah, I would take the Dodgers at -125. Not at this price. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a number, Tom, that I think, because you will bet like this, so I'm curious, but I also know you might hate it, so that's why I'm excited about this one. Plus, now 534, Trey Savage to record the win. Do I think he records the win? No. Do I think that's a crazy number? Absolutely.
Yes.
He's recorded the win in 2 of his 4 starts so far.
Right, and both things can be true. And, I often talk about this in other sports, but like deriving the most value. If the Blue Jays win, you could bet that, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but the plus 180-ish number, which 50-ish. But like if Trey Savage gets the win, you might as well bet that. Obviously, like they can win and then you lose out on that bet, but the highest upside is to bet on that and go with the smaller unit, have something else on their money line, and then you're fine.
Yeah, like I wouldn't give out a Savage win best bet, but numbers wise, it just kind of really stands out to me. Do you have a favorite bet, Tom, or way to attack this game pregame?
No, I would play the over. I would play the over again. It would not be.
I like the under tonight.
Okay. I would just play the over. I think the bullpens are getting worked. I think the hitters have seen them too many times in a row. That just plays to the advantage of the hitters. My best bet of the night is already underway. It was in the NBA. Cade Cunningham under 40.5 PRA.
What was the take me through that?
He's shooting terribly. He's shooting 36% to start the year. It's the worst of his career. He has a total of 72 field goal attempts in 4 games. It is an extremely small sample size. I understand that. Very, very small sample size. He's shooting terribly. He's averaging a total of like 33.5 PRA, and his line is 40.5. That's insane. Going up against the Magic, both of these teams are top 17 in the league when it comes to defensive efficiency. They also play on the slower side of things, and he will bounce back. I think Cade Cunningham is great, and he will bounce back to that 46, 44% type of shooter he is, but that's not going to happen in one night. So he could have a great night tonight, but him going to 40 plus, I think is a bit much.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would be worried that, that big game from him is around the corner because I think he is that level of player.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't ask for much of a better start than 4 points, not a rebound or an assist through his opening 9, right? I mean, that is, right in line with what you're looking for. Do you have any action elsewhere on the card tonight, any sport?
No, I have a play for tomorrow, for the football game tomorrow.
Already?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta be ahead of the number.
Go ahead.
Tua under 32.5 pass attempts. Crazy number when you look at the number of attempts that he already has. Yes, they will be playing from behind, but we're going to see Lamar back, and if they just get back to basics, the Ravens, that is, and they just start running the ball, he's not going to have as many bites at the apple. The Dolphins have a 60 pass play percentage on the entire season. However, over the last 3 games, that number dips to 55. We're also dealing with 2 teams, the Ravens and the Dolphins. These are 2 of the bottom 3 teams when it comes to total plays run per game. They're both in the, 55.4, 55.5, whatever it is. 2 of the fewest plays per game. So now we have a player who barely gets to 30, and now we need him to exceed to 33 in a spot where he may not have the ball because the Ravens are going to be running it, get back to basics, get their offense going in the right direction. And it's way too much to ask from Tua, and he's going to throw some interceptions.
That is, again, like I'm a very honest person with stuff like this. That was stunning to me because 32.5 doesn't sound like a lot when someone is projected to trail all game. So as Tom is talking, first thing I just wanted to see.
Are you looking at his game log?
Not just that. So yes, I'm looking at his game log. He's only gone over it twice, right? Quarterbacks to play 8 games and have fewer attempts than Tua. Drake May, Jalen Hurts. Drake May is basically up 1,000, it feels like, every week now for the last 100 weeks. Drake May has a game where he had 17 attempts because they were playing Carolina, okay? And then Hurts, I mean, I don't think I have to explain anything other than that. Those are a couple of 6-2 football teams. Tua Tagovailoa is on one of the worst teams in the league. How is that even? So Tom, it's a pace of play thing. Does that feel like the number one thing?
But to your point, you're like, well, how are they're playing from behind? Like, they're just not sustaining drives.
Yeah,
they're just not sustaining drives. So and there are times that Drake May is like 21 of 25 just because they're moving the ball and they're slicing apart defenses and he's fantastic and they just move the ball. The Dolphins don't sustain drives. So if you go 3 and out, right, and then you punt the ball, and then the Ravens go on a 10-play drive, and even if they settle for a field goal, so be it. They just ate up 7 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
And then you go next drive, and you just happen to get a first down, then you punt. There's just not enough time and bites at the apple for him to have 34 attempts for me to be comfortable for me that he goes over. It's a crazy number.
You will know the Baltimore pace of play stuff. Has that been thrown off by the rush games?
I would have to look into the sample size that separates non-Lamar and Lamar games, but I'm confident that they're going to, because it's a short week for the Ravens. It's not a short week for Lamar, right? He's not coming off of a game on Sunday. He didn't play. Different story, but he's not coming off of a short week. So if they just get back to basics and a healthy dispersion of him plus the running game, Henry and Justice Hill, the Dolphins won't have the ball enough for Tua to get to 33.
Yeah, that is a really sharp look, a really fun look, really there by Tom, and one that I know it'll be burned in my brain throughout the game. Just kind of tracking along with Tom. We're taking a break. We're going to come on back. Want to get his thoughts on target player props. I just have to quickly mention this. Sam Hauser and Donovan Mitchell just combined to go 9 of 10 from 3 in the first quarter. The Cavs are 10 of 12. That's how you get 82 points in a quarter. We'll be right back.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
We are with you here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. We are live and joined by Tom Vecchio. We've talked through a little bit of the baseball. We're going to get back. I want to get Tom's thoughts on the World Series MVP, but we always do cover the target player props with Tom, and he really does offer some great insight. Tom, Puka Nacua is kind of registering as our, not debate, but like, we're really seeing why he was a question for us today heading into this matchup against the Saints. What do you think the books do with Nacua against New Orleans?
I would be shocked if it was not in the low 80s. So we're dealing with a couple different factors where, obviously the spread and the blowout factor is a very, very clear thing and a reality. But Puka is essentially fully healthy coming off the bye week, coming off of multiple weeks rest. I don't see this number as lower than 82 or 83. And if it's lower than that, if it's sub 80, I think that's a mistake by the books, where there's going to be a clear and obvious effort to get him back in the offense, and then they're just going to move down the field. There's going to be no stopping them with this Saints terrible defense, and then Puka's going to end up with 15 targets, 11 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown.
I just really struggle because, and maybe the answer, Tom, is it's just the stay away spot, but
fair.
You're a big favorite. He's like, I know they're off the bye, but he was injured before the bye. Puka's, it's all based on this immense usage that feels like it would just flatly be irresponsible if the Rams went about this game this way. Now, again, right, like, we know how the NFL goes. All of a sudden, New Orleans is up, 10-7 at the break, and it's just, yeah, he's going to finish with 12 receptions kind of stuff. What about Justin Jefferson, Tom? We have a quarterback change here. All of the current numbers suggest that's bad news for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and the problem is we don't have a large sample size to date back of with J.J. McCarthy, and it's just the two games, but in reality, 75% of the two games, J.J. McCarthy was terrible. He was terrible in the three quarters versus the Bears. He was amazing in that last quarter. And the same can be said. So it's not we can draw on something that says now that McCarthy's back, he's going to be targeting him at this rate, because so many of those drives to start went 3 and out. They were just bad. They were bad. It was a bad run offense. So the chemistry is developing between these two. They need to have more and more reps together. So if the number is light, it's going to be a buy low spot theoretically, but their books are not going to put a light number on Justin Jefferson. If it was a different player, we may be having a different story. We're just never going to get a discount, and you are betting on Jefferson's talent in the situation, not McCarthy.
Fair enough. Listen, I don't think you're wrong there. I'm just very curious if it's a noticeable dip.
Like you said, Puka, I'm just nothing, no thanks for me. If I'm wrong, we'll move on to next week. Yeah,
I feel like there's a world where, like, Puka may end up an under for me if they just book him like everything is normal. But again, the Jefferson could end up being that. Tom, you're always interested in touchdowns. Marvin Harrison, again, it's kind of, I like that we almost do this every week. I don't know what happens when they're on bye. But against Dallas, you have to be looking at top targets.
We have to. Let me just look at this real quick. So, Marv, he's still not the top of the team when it comes to red zone targets overall. Just because obviously Trey McBride is there, and obviously we're dealing with different sample sizes when Jacoby Brissett was in for the Cardinals, but they are coming off. This is just such a weak defense. My prevailing sentiment would be, if we're not willing to target what is a number one wide receiver, not a number one receiving option on the team, but the number one receiver, if we're not willing to target him against the Cowboys, just because Marv's been a little bit inconsistent, when are we willing to target a player? We have to be able to buy into the talent in this matchup, or there's no reason to ever target the Cowboys again.
Yeah, I think that is incredibly well said. 2 running backs that made the cut. I'm curious if either of these really stand out to you. Jaylen Warren over, short summary, potential low number against the Colts, despite the fact he has been outperforming numbers pretty consistently. Kyle Monangai against the Cincinnati Bengals, playing more maybe than people would realize against an awful Cincinnati run defense.
Yeah, so when it comes to Warren, I think there's a very clear game plan for the Steelers that they don't want to turn this into a shootout. They can't go out there and score 35 points and go punch for punch with the Colts. Therefore, they try and control the clock in some capacity, and Warren will just see carries. He's going to see 12, 13-ish carries. He could be a little bit inefficient, but he could still get there because, again, that will be the Steelers' game plan to kind of reel things in after last Sunday when they got torched and they don't want to turn games into a shootout. That's not when their offense operates best. And then Monangai is someone that is kind of trending up, playing on more snaps, 46, 49% over the past 2 weeks. Obviously against the Saints with the weather is a different story. But if we're going to see a light number on this, I'm going to say it's going to be in the mid-20s, maybe the high 20s. There's a very clear path for him to get there, combined with the fact that the Bears wide receiver core right now not practicing to start the week.
Yeah, what was that about? The whole room?
Great question. Now, obviously, it's Wednesday. There's just like, it's a bit of maintenance. Friday's report will be the most interesting and the most important, I should say. If they're actually not playing, they're limited on Friday, that would say a shift in the game plan that the Bears need to focus on the running game. And maybe if they're all ready to go on Friday, we're having a different conversation.
Also, potential nightmare starting to appear for me with Flacco injured. And the nightmare is the books moving this to 3 or 3.5, at which point I'm going to have to bet Jake Browning. Because Flacco, I don't know. I almost think, Tom, as hard as I was on Jake Browning, I think the benching might be a really nice reset for him. He's not as bad as he was playing.
There's no doubt that he was not that bad. If you look back to 2023 when he got some run time, he was actually high in the league when it comes to on-target throws, but that just disappeared this season.
Yeah, it's a major, major game to watch, undeniably. We're going to close out Game Time decisions. We're going to get you best bets and World Series MVP talk with Tom on the other side, live on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game Time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. It is a Wednesday night. Let's put some best bets on the board here, shall we? We've got a couple of these live. We have two still to come. Live right now, Magic money line for AJ, and then the Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee first half over 27.5 for Sam. Let's rope him in. Our guy Tom rooting on a Cade Cunningham under 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Chris is on the Blue Jays' first 5 team total over the 1.5 at plus 105. Give me the under 8.5 in this game, minus 120. I think you can actually find a little bit better juice on that under now out there if you've not placed that bet. I like this under because I think both pitchers can outperform expectations. Blake Snell in a clear and obvious bounce back spot, and Trey Savage has been good for this Blue Jays group here. This feels to me where you end up with, because the current series has been an over, and the last time these guys pitched in an over, a great number. This was 7.5 when they played in game number 1. We're getting a full run added on top here, and what I don't think are better hitting conditions outside in LA compared to being inside the dome of Toronto. So give me that under 8.5. Before we talk a little World Series MVP, I did promise a bit of housekeeping here on this Wednesday night, which was Kevin 7, which I absolutely kind of caught up in everything we were doing, did not deliver to the people. Let me just set the stage very quickly. There are right now 7 job openings in the college football landscape, and it involves major jobs. LSU, Florida, Penn State. It is almost a guarantee that those are not going to not only be the only jobs that are open, but there are more major jobs coming. So 7 college football teams that could end up needing a new head coach. Kentucky, they are looking to fire Mark Stoops perhaps very soon, maybe as soon as this week if they get rolled up by Auburn. Auburn, if they lose at home this week to Kentucky, are probably going to fire Hugh Freeze. Nebraska, not because they're going to fire Matt Rule, because he wants that Penn State job. And at minimum is going to make Nebraska pay him to not take that Penn State job. I know there's some negotiations ongoing right now between the sides. Ole Miss, well, duh. Lane Kiffin is the hottest name right now in the college football coaching circle. And if he goes, well, that's tough for Ole Miss. That's a pretty good job, though, that now comes available. It's on the board. North Carolina and Bill Belichick. Might just be time to step down for Bill. They say it's not. I don't know if I believe him. He's clearly got his heart set on not stepping down in season, but I don't know what happens at the end of the year. Texas, anyone? What if the Texas job comes available? Sark is, to some degree, linked to the NFL. Whether he's interested or the league is interested in him, there's a link. And things aren't as smooth as they've ever been. Texas's job could come open. Florida State could very well as well, because Mike Norvell will be reevaluated, and if this team does not win at minimum 6 games, but maybe more than that, he's going to be fired. And I will say this. If any school at a high level is going to take a shot on Deion Sanders, Florida State, his alma mater, is the one. Closing it out with our guy, Tom Vecchio. Tom, I appreciate you sitting through our Kevin 7 here. That was supposed to be yesterday, as you know. World Series MVP, you scan the market. What stands out?
I mean, right now would be looking to not a deep shot, right? But, Kirk's been good. Alejandro Kirk for the Blue Jays has been really good. And, we were talking, what if Yamamoto goes out there? Let's just say the Blue Jays win tonight. This is under the assumption the Blue Jays win tonight. Yamamoto goes out there and is awesome in game 6. Like, he's the reason that they force a game 7. Could he win, even though he doesn't have to, play in game 7? And I want to say, yes, I want to buy into that storyline, that belief, that narrative, and ultimately having a great number. But a part of me is also going to say, if game 7 rolls around and there's a heroic moment, I don't know what will happen in that circumstance, because Kirk has already had the home run the other night. Like, he got the offense going, so he has the stats to back it up. If he has one more home run in a game 7, and that's the quote unquote reason they win, they could just give it to him in that. And that's not a stretch. We're not talking about a 50-1 shot. It's like 7.5 to 1. It's like, that's pretty reasonable. He was already in the mix, and then he just pushed it over the edge.
If the series ended today, the strongest case belongs to Ohtani or probably Kirk. But Vlad has a great case. So does Freddie Freeman. And so does Yamamoto. I will say though, my biggest stance is, and I feel bad that Tom and I often do this, so allow us to both say, Ohtani's a legend. He's an all-time great. They can put him in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. But he's too strong a favorite in this market. Yamamoto and Bo Bichette stand out to me. Under that 8.5. In-game live is next on Sports Grid.